you very much. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for having me. So my name is Sam Huber. I'm the CEO of Advir. We're the first programmatic solution for advertising in VR and AR. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to go through a media revolution, which is going to be in the scale of the internet revolution of the late 90s. And we think that the main drivers of this revolution is going to be virtual reality and augmented reality. So how is the world going to look in the next 5 to 10 years? Well, we think that VR and AR are going to have very different applications. VR is going to become the new standard for home entertainment. It's going to be about how you consume your content at home, how you play games or go on social network in the comfort of your home. AR, on the other hand, is going to be the extension of your mobile life. It's going to start spreading through the smartphone, where we overlay data on top of the real world. And then we have a transition from handsets to headsets. And we'll end up consuming that same content directly from smart glasses. And really, AR is all about tools. It's about how can we get to a location faster? How can we get product recommendation that we want? So you might think, okay, that's great. How is that relevant or related to advertising? Well, if you look at the history of media, from the newspaper to TV to the internet, one thing that these media have in common is that they all relied on advertising to become global. And the reason for that is because advertising is the only solution, the only business model that you don't have to pay for. It's the only alternative to paid content. And no one, like you, like me, we don't want to pay for content. We assume that content should be free. And so that's going to be the same for VR and AR. Advertising is going to play a very important role in the growth of those media if we want those media to become the billion-dollar media that we expect. However, it will have to be a different kind of advertising. The current advertising industry is a mess. It sucks. Everyone hates it. When I say that I work in advertising and I'm trying to bring advertising technology to virtual reality, everyone thinks that I'm going to ruin the industry. So there needs to be a change there. But really, it all started to be messed up because of the internet. See, back in the day, if you talk about a newspaper ad, for example, the relationship between the advertiser who wants to buy inventory and the publisher who has the audience is quite simple. There's a limited amount of publishers, limited amount of inventory, so the relationship was direct, money was going from one to another. Came the internet. Billions of websites, billions of pages. All of a sudden, it started to be quite complicated for advertisers to know where to reach their audience. So that simple relationship that they had with newspaper publishers or TV publishers started to be quite complicated. There's some middlemen that were trying to centralize the demand, centralize the supply, and now it kind of looks like that. And the problem with this is that there is so many middlemen in every transaction that for every dollar spent by the advertiser, the publisher only gets a third of the money, or like 2/3 of the money is lost in the middleman. On top of that, because the advertiser doesn't have much control of where the impression is going, last year only $7 billion were defrauded from advertisers. That means impressions that the advertisers are paid for but are not seen by real humans. And of course, we hate advertising. We went from creative advertising and telling stories to purely performance and focusing on the wrong metrics. So we have an industry right now that doesn't serve the consumer, that is defrauding advertiser, and that is milking dry the publishers. So how much longer can we go? And isn't it dangerous to apply those principles to new media like VR and AR? Well, luckily, we at Advir are optimists, and we think that 3 technologies are going to be able to spin that advertising model on its head and really change the advertising paradigm. And these 3 technologies are VR and AR, artificial intelligence, and the blockchain. So let's start with VR and AR. In VR, there is a complete difference with any other media before, is that there is no boundary between content and reality. Content becomes your new reality. So the reason why we're so excited about it from an advertising point of view is that for the first time, you don't have to try to cram ads on a small screen to make them noticeable for the user. But instead, what we can do is really place elements as part of your experience in a way that is completely native, like this. So that for the user, it looks like it's part of your content. But it's still a placement, it's still sponsored. what it does is because VR is such a media that you have to explore, what we found is when people explore the content, they also explore the ads. And we run some tests, some case studies with large brands, and we had over a third, close to a third of our users that actually engage directly with the ad. If you measure that on the web, you have less than 1%. It's a significant difference. The brand recall as well is through the roof. How many people remember the brands that they've seen? Again, because the ads do not compete with your content, but they're integrated in it. It's made a completely different and creates a great experience. So what we're doing at VR is developing simple technology for developers and publishers to be able to monetize their content. So what they're doing is they're creating placeholders or these red shapes that you can see here in their content, and then we sell that to advertisers. That's basically the model. Now, in order to serve relevant ads to relevant people, VR and AR is just a display. It's not going to take care of that. So the second technology I wanted to talk about today is artificial intelligence. And this is going to become the brain of the advertising revolution. See, one problem that we have today with advertising is that there's a lot of spam. There's a lot of irrelevant ads, things that maybe you just bought and you still see an ad for it. And the reason for this is, what you have to remember, is that it's not intentional. If brands could only target people who would buy the product, they would, because otherwise they lose money on every impression. So the reason they still target you when you don't want the product is because they have a limited amount of information about you, and mostly about the context of use. With programmatic advertising today, most brands would know who you are, they would know what you like, but they lack the context. They lack where you are, what you're actually doing, who you're with at the moment, and even what you think. So we think that in a perfect world, if advertisers had access to all this information, we could actually get rid of spam, because they would have access to every information to give you what you want when you want it. In this case, that looks more like a recommendation to you rather than an ad. Now, obviously, the issue of ad fraud that I mentioned earlier is something that we can't take lightly. And we think that there is a third technology in the mix that will be able to solve that. And this is the blockchain. Now, blockchain is kind of a complicated concept. It's the technology behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. But today it starts to be applied to any other decentralized system. And the idea is removing the middleman. I talked earlier that there's so many middlemen in transaction right now that the money going from the advertiser to the publisher is lost in the transfer. With blockchain, we will need to do that. The way it works is that it's basically a chain of blocks, as the name suggests, and the blocks are added on top of each other so that every member of the network has access to all the transactions. So they can always look back and see if transaction 4 comes after transaction 3, there can't be any fraud. And to add a new transaction, which in this case would be an ad impression, all the network has basically to reach some kind of consensus to be able to add this block. So it's not a unique third party that is saying, okay, this impression happened. In which case, if they're dodgy, obviously they can pretend that it happened and defraud the advertiser. But it's the whole network that is kind of coming to a consensus. And if one of these guys on the top here is saying the wrong thing, the other one will correct it. If there is a blockchain enthusiast in the room, they would probably think that I'm saying crazy things, because that's a very, very simplified version, but that's basically the idea. A network that monitors itself without a central authority. And so by doing this, we could have the whole network actually monitoring the impressions, so that there wouldn't be any need for a middleman to take care of advertising and serving ads on the web and in VR. So obviously for us, as AdVR is some kind of middleman, that would really cannibalize our business, but that's something that we are looking into as part of future growth. They actually are a company that are doing that right now on the web. They have a browser called Brave, and you can download it, you can use it. You need that browser though, and the great thing about it is that you also get rewarded as a user for the ads that you see. So not only the publisher gets paid, but the user gets paid. Now, we have these three major technology shifts in the next 5 to 10 years: VR, AR, artificial intelligence, blockchain. We think that advertising should be about the user experience and really try to provide value for users rather than simply trying to sell products, trying to force them to buy something that they don't want. So if we find a way to deliver value to advertisers, let them target the audience that they want while still giving publishers money so they can keep creating great content, and on top of that creating a great experience for people, then we'll all win. And only the future will tell if this vision will become reality, but I certainly hope so, and I hope that you will join me thinking that as well. Thank you very much.